Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to enter the Poserverse. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. But you're like, didn't I just watch him record something wearing that shirt several times? And you're right, and I have a solution to that. Guess what? Don't be a dick. Rocking my new Taylor Winder shirt. You can get one yourself over here. So, if you want to find out what in tarnation I am reading on the Wednesday before Christmas, check it out after this. Alright, we've got my pull list on Leave Comic Geeks pulled up. I am picking all my books up from Chops Comics in lovely Lawrence, Kansas this week. If I have anything missing, if Turtles or one or two random other things come out, I'm getting those pulled from Game Nut, and those don't show up on this list, but I say that every week. Up first, Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Secret Origin #1. Are they done with this yet? Please. I just need to stop buying them, but I think there are 3 more. And my anxiety brain is like, but if you like this, then you'll miss a book and you might not be able to... Still haven't read it. Boo. Boo me. This is the kind of shit that I'll be dropping in 2021 as I look to clean up my pull list. Number 2, from Image Comics, is Department of Truth #4. I'm so hyped on this book. And this and Something is Killing the Children really make me wonder why... James Tynion has swung and missed at the end of arcs on Batman, but I don't know. So I am intrigued by this book. We've seen a new kind of conspiracy take on each book, right? We had Flat Earthers in book 1. In book 2, we had Satanic Preschools. In book 3, we had false flag operations and crisis actors. And in book 4, it's a story about, like, seemingly fake news that ends up getting published. Like, how can reporters do this if they're fully aware that something is ethically untrue? So I'm intrigued to see what's happening there, but we also got the clue about the Jack Ruby hat. Oh, unless Jack Kirby killed Kennedy, or killed Lee Harvey Oswald. He might have. But I want to see these little relics keep popping up and what exactly they mean in a broader story arc. Next, we get Doctor Doom #10, where we're starting to see what Doctor Doom is going to do after recovering from his mishap on the moon. This says that he can only recognize things from dreams and visions, so I'm definitely on board for that one. Up next for Mad Cave is Dryfoot #4. I was on team Everybody Yell at Jared because of what happened at the end of book #3. And then when I read #4 last week from Mad Cave's preview site, it's good. It's really, really good. I could not have seen a couple of the things coming in the way that it all shook out. So I think you have a very neatly packaged story in 4 issues that finds new ways to kind of tug at the heartstrings. And like I said in tweeting about Dryfoot #4, I'm excited to see what Jared Lahan has up his sleeve next. And I know that he was dropping a newsletter that I think started on Friday, or you could at least start subscribing to it on Friday. So I'll try and put a link in the description below. That way, if you've been a fan of Dryfoot, you can figure out where he lands next. Next up is Excalibur #16. I am almost caught up on X-Men. I have, I think, X Factor, X Force from this week to read, or last week to read. So we'll see what's going on in Excalibur. I know that this definitely will be the most impacted title from Ten of Swords since, you know, some of the big name characters got affected by how things shook out, and I don't know why I'm trying to not spoil Ten of Swords, because if you didn't read it, you probably don't care about X-Men, but what you gonna do? Next, Family Tree #10, some Jeff Lemire, Phil Hester goodness coming from Image Comics. We are starting to discover what is happening in the present in terms of why people are hunting down the tree, why the people who are related to the young woman that turned into the tree, how this is all starting to play out, that, 10 issues in, we've got a really good defined sense of the past in several elements, potentially what could happen in the future in terms of seeing some of the conversations of members of this family line within the tree itself. So I want to see, what happens next. I want a little bit more depth in terms of what's going on in the present, but either way, I'm a big fan of what Lemire and Hester are doing on this title. Next up from AWA, we've got the book 4 of Grendel, Kentucky, so I want to see how this series wraps. That I really just like how random and aggressive this title has been in terms of dealing with, some earth-shattering from family loss or loss to the town, but also the bigger existential threats that live in Grendel. And where this book excites me is where this book is ending is not necessarily the path that I saw this book on, especially from issue 1 or issue 2. And that's a reason why I really, really appreciate the kind of stuff that comes from AWA, because they are constantly kind of pushing the envelope. They're constantly getting you to read things that kind of keep you on your toes. Next up from Image is Ice Cream Man number 22. First, I love this idea of an advent calendar kind of cover, but it also looks like this might be that might be the theme of the book, where every day there's a new bit of horror, every day there's something, scary that is popping up. And then there's the note here at the end that says UCP is developing an adaptation on Quibi, but I think Quibi died, so I'm wondering if that's going to be developed for something else, because I think this is a really, really cool one-off kind of episodic horror thing. So if the Twilight Zone can do well with, different challenges, different oddities and absurdities in every episode, then I definitely think seeing what, Prince and Morazzo have put together in Ice Cream Man would be a really interesting world to see adapted into, a film or television medium. Next up from Image, we've got Philadelphia number 11. First, you should go check out my boys over at the Comic Burrito. They had an amazing interview with Rodney Barnes last week in terms of pushing him in areas that I've not seen him talk about with everybody who's interviewed him. But I'm excited to see what is happening in part 5 of this second arc, that we're starting to see elements of the master plan start to build. That we are building to some kind of huge explosion, and I want to see what it is. Next from Marvel is King in Black number 2. I love number 1. I've enjoyed most of the tie-ins so far. I really thought the silent issue of Immortal Hulk was really, really cool to look at and watch it play out. That I like these silent issue kind of books, and I think that was done in a cool way. I don't know how many of them have really helped drive story, and I'm guessing that if it's a tie-in that's got more than one issue, it's got a bigger chance, like the Namor book or the Alien Reality book starts to give you some context in terms of what may have been happening to previous symbiote hosts. So I want to see what happens next, because Null drops the hammer in book 1, and I'm still thinking that everybody's screwed and everybody should die. Next up is Maestro number 5. I think this is the end of this run, but I also know that they're promoting a second arc of Maestro with a different subtitle that's coming out in February. This has been an interesting read for me, watching how all of this kind of plays out, but I think I'm just not enough of a Hulk fan to ride the bandwagon onto the second arc. And it's not a criticism of the book. I think the book has been very interesting. But again, as I, try to think about things that I kind of like versus things that I know that I love, and I'm trying to pool some cash and buy not 70 books a week, I think Maestro's gonna fall. Next up from Aftershock is Miles to Go number 3. I think the first two in this has been very, very interesting in terms of looking at the depth of character, looking at why people are chasing the main character, looking into discovering more like meta issues from her past. That this book is just phenomenal all the way around, and it literally ping-pongs back and forth with two other books that I go, damn, this is the best Aftershock book, at that, damn, this is the best Aftershock book. But it's a really, really good action-driven story that reveals you to details from the past when you need. Next, from Vault is The Picture of Everything Else number 1. I'll tell you that I've not looked too much into this title, but Vault is definitely getting the treatment of, if you're dropping a number 1, I'm probably picking it up to give it a good faith read, because I've not read something from Vault in the last 6 months that I've disliked. From IDW, we've got Scarent Hood number 3. I liked issue number 2 in terms of looking at what the family or the group of parents kind of had going on, but I did not enjoy it as much as I did number 1. Number 1 I thought was a really, really good read, a really relatable read in terms of bored parents looking for something to do when their kids are occupied, that for as much as we're like, I want silence in this house, I love the silence in this house, and then it's quiet and you're like, let's go find something to do. So I'm intrigued to see if issue number 3 will deliver for me, or if I'll make the path off not taken of me going, maybe I gotta drop me an indie book. It happens, but it's not as frequent as me dropping a Marvel or DC. Next up, we've got Scumbag issue 3. I really love book 2. I think this series is absolutely bonkers in terms of the art, which changes every book. I thought 1 and 2 were phenomenal. Just the sheer fact that Scumbag is really just a dude who is motivated by his like reptilian brain and his sense of pleasure. Like, I still laugh at the suitcase full of, briefcase full of like every kind of drug. Like, that tackle box style opening really made me laugh. It really does a good job of showing how potentially powerful this dude can be after he took the wrong injection. But I like the existential question of, is he going to be able to be sober enough or good enough to save humanity in the way that we need it? Another Vault book coming out this week, Shadow Service number 5. I've liked this kind of paranormal book, this, where we're dealing with ghosts and magic. I still love that the organization is MI666. But I think this has just been a good look into the supernatural with kind of a investigatory feel to it, and it's been pretty good. That it's gonna rank somewhere in my books of the year list that I haven't landed 100% on the category where it's placing, but it's good enough to get a nod from me. I don't know what that means anything in the grand scheme of things, other than me screaming into the void like, good job, Vault. Next from Boom Studios is Something is Killing the Children number 13. The hits keep on coming in Archer's Peak. That we saw a struggling Erica Slaughter realizing that she has to kind of deal with everything herself. We saw her parent organization slowly starting to encroach upon the town and get ready to essentially remove it from the map. So what we will see is what can they do? Is there anything left to fight off the monsters, or is something going to kill more children? We'll see. Next up is Spider-Woman number 7. I like the cover on this. It's a King in Black tie-in. So I want to see A, how it ties in, but B, it looks like it's also still connecting to the ongoing storyline about Jess and getting ready to rumble with Octavia Vermis. I've been liking this run. Books 5 and 6 were a little meh to me, but I hope that it picks back up, because I think now that it's solidified on the big arc and the big reason why Jessica Drew is sick and trying to get her powers back, makes me excited to check it out at least. I keep hoping and hoping and hoping. Alright, this is like the fourth week in a row that Transformers Back to the Future 2 has been listed as showing up this week. I don't know anymore. We'll see if it's in the shop on Thursday or on Wednesday, or if this is going to be like somebody trying to pick up that J.J. Abrams Spider-Man run where like it just keeps getting pushed back and we'll get Transformers number 2 like 18 months after number 1 comes. Next up from Image is Undiscovered Country number 11. I've really loved this exploration into Unity. I really loved the, investigation of what's up between Destiny Man and Uncle Sam. Getting the full depth, like conversational depth of how these different territories kind of started working together. That you got some of that history from the back matter where it's like the small pages from a history textbook. That I'm definitely excited to see how this continues to go, because I think Unity is intriguing, but then I think this arc has been so much better than the first, which was hard to do because I really liked the first arc. So maybe am I dooming myself to not like the third arc of this series because I expect it to be another mind-blowing leap forward, but if there's anybody who can pull it off, it's Snyder and Soule. 2 books left. Next up from Boom is An Unkindness of Ravens number 4. This has been a surprisingly good read to me that, like I said, I picked it up on a whim when issue 2 was coming out. So we're starting to understand a little bit more about the coven of young witches, the Ravens. We're starting to discover a little bit more about the young woman who looks conspicuously like the gal who disappeared. And we're starting to figure out more about the town and how it operates. So this is a very slow build, but I think there's enough action and intrigue in each individual book so far that when we get our big explosion of conflict, that I'm going to be like, all right, it's game time. Like, it's not slow in a bad way to me. It's building appropriately from book to book to book. And then up last, Villainous number 3 from Mad Cave Studios, written by my dude Stoney Williams and the rest of the creative team, which is fabulous on this book. First, the cover artist is killing it. That, number 2 blew me away. When I saw number 3 in the solicitations, my mind blew again. Like, I'm just gonna keep saying blow my mind, and I'll throw, blow my mind, and you can count and have a drinking game on what is more likely to happen in one of my videos. Am I gonna say blew my mind, or am I gonna fall asleep? Who knows? Because they both happen frequently. But the cover, go check out the solicitations for number 4, which comes out in January. Holy shit, that cover is amazing too. But the day of the event is upon us, where we're starting to see if the Shadow Order will be able to successfully stop the coalition of heroes from assassinating the British ambassador. There's more conflict in this one, and it's good to see if anything happens to anyone. Are they successful in stopping it? If not, are there repercussions? We get to see more of how both organizations operate and the level of influence or the lack of influence that both of these organizations may really have. But it's a real good book, and I'm excited to have, the 74 copies that I pull all over the state of Kansas show up so I can be, Scrooge McDuck wealthy and villainous covers. But yeah, what do you think? Is there anything coming out this week that you're excited about that I have not mentioned or that I took a pass on? Let me know in the description down below, because, even though I say I'm trying to cull the herd and get rid of a bunch of books from the collection, I'll always take a peek into something, especially if I can find it on the cheap, or I'll just stand in the store and read it like this and look over my shoulder to make sure nobody's watching that I'm stealing a comic book in my brain. But yeah, that's it. Like I said yesterday, you'll just get some random unboxings until Saturday, where I'm going to start doing my individual countdown of books that should receive some kind of to-be-named Poser Award. Hopefully I'll have it named by the by the time I do my first video. I can't make any promises, y'all. I'm just going to be like, and the good-ass Aftershock book of the year is this one, and this one, and this one, because I can't commit to a list of single numbers because I keep giving exceptions. But I'm going to try and be disciplined. I'm going to hurt feelings by not giving them the prestigious Poser Award. That sounds too pretentious. So look forward to that. Enjoy hopefully getting some time off of work, you know, maybe getting to see some family physically if you're in an area that's okay, getting to Zoom together with family over the holiday weekend, or getting to use COVID as an excuse to hide from your family. Be like, we don't want to get the plague, but we love you, happy holidays. So all of those are awesome, but hopefully you're safe. Hopefully you do things to take care of yourself physically, socially, and emotionally. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.